Welcome everyone to what I assume is episode 39. I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong when I go to upload this and I see that it's a different episode, but for the time being, episode 39. It is warm as all get out, which is why I've got like some seriously boring hair. This is all I can get it to do right now. But if you are in most of the United States, you completely understand that it is bloody warm out. And Mom went home yesterday. My in-laws are getting here this evening, and they're going to be here until Tuesday. So it's been like super busy around Yon Homestead, and I, for one, am ready for a break. No, actually, I'm ready to get back to work. I feel like I haven't been working. I know I haven't been working, but I feel it, and it's not as much fun. Not as much fun. The hubby is still off on vacation, and he will be for a while still. I think this week. I think he's got this coming next week off. Yes, I learned to speak. I am speak good. He's got this next upcoming week off, and then he goes back. Well, you'll probably get some bra shots. There's nothing I can do. It's hot. It's hot. You're gonna have to deal with everything. I have no finished objects. None. I did work on stuff. Like, I mean, we went to Seattle for a day trip on, I want to say Monday. I think it was Monday. I'll put some clips at the end of the episode. If you get motion sickness, please don't watch them. But if you want to see, what, like, you know, on the ferry, or I took a video of us on the ferry going towards Seattle, so you can see Seattle in the distance as we approach it. And then I took a video of us driving over the bridge between Bellevue and Seattle and Mercer Island and all that, which was entertaining. There's a lot of water. It's just, there's a lot of water. But for people who like looking at that, I know I'm always interested in other people's. I took it with my iPhone, so hopefully I can sync everything up properly. It's my first experience with like editing, advanced editing, which it really isn't that advanced, but it's my first foray. And if it really entertains you guys, I'll go out and take more pictures around the towns and such as I'm out here on the peninsula where all insanity exists. But having said that, I did get some knitting time on the ferries. I got some knitting time on the drive. We went to Threadneedle Street, I believe it's called, which is a cross-stitch store, because that's where Mom really wanted to go. That's where we really wanted to take her. She doesn't knit as much anymore because of her arthritis, so she does cross-stitch quite a bit on 14 count, and I'd kitted up two patterns for her, except for the Ada. I don't know why I'm telling you this. This is the knitting one. Anywho, that's where we went. We didn't hit any knitting stores except for the one that's by Pike Place, and I've been there a few times. It's just a little pricey for me, and I think that's the location, because they're probably paying a higher rent. Generally, I go to Church Mouse because it's about half an hour to 40 minutes away. That's probably the one that's closest to me. There are two other yarn stores close to me. There's one, and it's basically the in-house dyer. It's her shop, her and him. It's a mother-son combination, and it's their shop. And it's nice to go in and stuff, but it's a very limited selection, and I have found that it'll sometimes be closed for no reason. So I don't, if I'm going downtown Poolsbo, then I'll stop in, but it's not something I go, yeah, I need to go get stuff from there, because they don't carry a lot of the stuff I use. Except for the sock yarns. They've got a decent stash of sock yarns, but I'm trying to knit down my sock yarns, so it's not really my bag right now. And then there's one that's in Silverdale, but it has the weirdest operating hours I've ever heard of. It's 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through, I think Thursday. Monday through Thursday? They're weird. And it's not that they're weird because they're weird, but it's just odd hours because they're Seventh-day Adventists who observe the Sabbath on Saturday, I want to say. It starts from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. I'm not that caught up. If you're a Seventh-day Adventist, I apologize, but seriously, bad business model. Because the only times I have to go are in the evenings and on the weekends, which is when most people who have jobs go places. So it's definitely not designed for someone like myself, and I haven't been there. I did go there and found that out. Well, I saw the sign, and then I did some digging on Ravelry, and in like a year-old thread, it turned out that on one of the areas that they explained that they were Seventh-day Adventists, and Sundays are by appointment only. Well, that's not going to happen. So I usually go to Church Mouse. There is one in Port Orchard I have not been to. It's Debbie McComer's, a good yarn. Like, that's her yarn store. I don't understand that whole thing, but I do think when we take the in-laws over to the Seattle side of life, we're going to try and go up to Tolt, which I have been told is the be-all and end-all. So, hoping it's worth the drive out to Carnation, like Threadneedle was to Issaquah. That's a long bunch of yammer to say, man, I miss Knitter's Palette. I was spoiled by Pam. Okay, so, works in progress. Those I have. Let's start with something you've seen before in my Yarn Friendly bag, which is of course Pokemon, because it's Pokemon fever here in the house, as we still poke our mons. I have it's called Lemon Difficulty. It is for the Canada Cal, which runs till the end of August. Do go post your pictures in the thread. Please explain how it's Canadian. Some of them confuse me. And I really don't want to have to do any digging because, let's face it, that's just, I don't have time to dig around and figure out why it's Canadian. This is by a Canadian designer. I believe her name's Kate Atherley. Don't quote me. There's my little bibbidi boo. It says where I was before. This is basically from Seattle home via just driving through Tacoma, which is about an hour and 15 minutes. And that doesn't seem like a commute to some people, but to me it's like, oh no. Although I did play some video games, but that's a fair bit. This is a 2-color brioche. It is this is the Grey Havens in my Knitter's Nightmare Giant sock base, which is 100% superwash merino, 490 yards. And this one is Arabesque, which Laura, who's Jinx Yarns, do not know how to say. It's a French dance term, I believe. Enchanté and Arabesque are two that are French words. And yeah, probably have a whole line of French words because I think it's funny. But Arabesque is the colored one. This is Boogeyman sock, which is 64 yards of 75/25 superwash merino nylon. So it's coming out good. I am using, I'm not sure, I think I went down a needle size. I'm using a 3.5mm needle, which is a US 4. These are my Chagus. And I like this fabric the best. I think I started on a bigger needle and then was like, no, that's way too open. And that just has to do with the slickness of this particular, of the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is a slicker sock. It's not as ploofy as the Batty. And the Giant tends toward closer to a Boogeyman than a Batty, so I really wanted, with the slick yarns, to not make it too holy an area. I want to be able to see stuff in the brioche. But as the repeats grow, it's taking me longer to get through a row. So I'd like to have it finished by the end of August. Will that happen? Who the hell knows? I may lose my own Canada Cal, but the Canada Cal goes till the end of August. I will lock up the thread the last day of August at midnight Pacific time. Am I Pacific? I'm Pacific, right? Midnight Pacific Standard Time, the last day of August. That is what I will do. Because, yeah. And for so we have over 20 posters, so there will be one prize for sure. If we hit 40 posters, I will put up a second prize, and I will draw for both the following episode. In my Schnuffeltier bag, and you can find her on Etsy. You can also find her on YouTube as The Passionate Spinner. That's her podcast, and she's also on Ravelry. There's also a Ravelry group. Hey, it's my mommy. She is home. She just went and got groceries. I wish she was still here. I miss her. So this is the winter wheat, and I brought my iPad so I could show you. I'm going to be one of those horrible technological people, but I just can't justify printing it. Of course, I still have, like, Undisclosed is up. I listened to, like, 4 episodes of Undisclosed last night, season 2, because I'm an Undisclosed fanatic. I'm okay with that. Rabia Chowdhury is she's an amazing woman to me. An amazing, amazing woman. Okay. So I'm doing the extra large, I believe, of the winter wheat, which looks a little something like this. Right? Okay? You follow me so far? So I finished the first stripe, which is this one. I put in the garter ridge, which is called for, which is this stripe, and I started the second color. Now, to go from 1 by 1 rib, I thought I would be really happy to move into this broken seed, but then I realized it's just like 1 by 1 rib staggered. So I'm not a big fan of these 2 rows, like of doing these two textures, but they do look good. I'm not gonna begrudge that. So my first color is Run Through the Jungle. It is Knitter's Nightmare Baddie Sock. The second color is Toxic Green in Knitter's Nightmare Baddie Sock. The garter ridges that are going to divide the colors are, I believe it's a twin, and it's True Love in Volmeise. And then the other 2 colors I've got going on will be Old Leaves, which is apparently like completely smushed in here, and Undertow. Well, of course, Knitter's Nightmare and the Baddie Sock. And here's my swatch, which I did in the Old Leaves to make sure I got the right gauge. I could wear it as a little mask. I didn't do the full 4 inches, but that's fine. So there's my swatch. In case I need to rip it out for extra yardage, I shouldn't, but I just love how Leaves comes out. It is, however, trucking along. There are a bagillion stitches, because right now this goes like up one side and around you. So, and I have to add stitches, so it's going to keep being really, really long right now. Basically, it's going to get longer and longer until I separate for the arms, and then it's going to be happy sailing. However, I do like the contrast of the yarns I picked, and I think that they are going to look amazeballs. That I am doing on a US 5 3.75 millimeter needle. Again, in my Schnuffeltier bag, which is awesome. The last thing I have on my needles, this one I started on the way to Seattle, and where the heck is there it is. And I literally like looked up patterns I wanted on the interwebs and came across the Mina Phillips socks. There's a pack, I think it's 3 patterns for $7, and I couldn't decide, so I bought the whole pattern set, and then I ended up going with this one, which is the Pebble Socks. It's a very light texture. Now it only calls for the texture on the front, but I completely zoned out and did it on the whole foot, so I'm just going to do it on the whole leg. Or rather, I did it on the whole leg, so I'm just going to keep going, because why not? I don't mind texture on the whole sock. It doesn't bug me none. And I pulled out my Gales Art Sock Blank in the Brass Octopus colorway. This is an 85-25, or no, 75-25 Superwash Merino nylon content. And it looks like this. And I love it because it reminds me of my wedding, which was a steampunk thing. I love all the gears, I love all the oomph, and I love purple. I'm not a big fan of gold, but whatever, I'll live. It's not like it's bad. And Gale sock blanks are so awesome. So I am almost done the gold part to start. Here's how far I've gotten. And I kind of screwed up at the top and did the pattern. I skipped a row in the pattern, and then I realized that, and I fixed it down here. I'm using US 1 2.25mm needles, which are my standard. If anything calls for 64 stitches, I will do it on a US 1 2.25mm needle, no matter what the pattern calls for, because I know that's what I use. I've been knitting socks for so long now that that's what I do. That is what I like. So yeah, love the little purple blips. I love how the color is changing, and I'm about to enter another color change. I'll probably do a 7.5 to 8 inch cuff, because I know I have a lot of yardage on this, so I might actually try and go to an 8 before I do heel flap. I think it calls for a German short row on those, and I'm just gonna do a heel gusset and flap because that's what I like and that's what fits me the best. Basically, I just bought the patterns for the stitches, but I will say they are part of her Beyond Vanilla sock collection, and it is a really great collection for noob sock knitters. I think it would have been really good for me when I was just starting to do socks. I think it's still good for me because I like simple things where I can read a pattern and just go to town. So, and this is in my bird legs bags. I think it's bird leg bags. Hold on. Yeah, bird leg bags. My bird leg bags K9 box bag, which I love. Got my Star Wars Rebel Force keychain going on over here. K9 goes everywhere because I love K9. And that's all I have for works in progress. Now, I do have some spinning. I'm only on my second cup of coffee. Right. So I finished 5 ounces. Here you go. Nice close up. 5 ounces. This is the Lorna Laces wool top in the Amish colorway. I've had it in my stash for like ever. Husband got it for me a while ago. A long while, I think. And so this is half. This is 1 ply half. And I was really stripping the colors and messing with them, like in the class I took, to try and just take out, like in the roving, which I didn't bring in here, I really should have, very definitive black, very definitive purple, very definitive blue, and very definitive red. And I didn't want anything to be that definitive. So I mixed them up, and you can see in and of itself I've got barber poling. And I did that on purpose to try and take out how strong those colors are. So I will be wondering what kind of cat hair that is. I will be spinning the next thing. I'm hoping for a fair bit of yardage because I spun it pretty thin. I'm of course doing it on the Hansen. And looking forward to seeing how that comes out. The colorway is Amish. You get 10 ounces. It is a 10-ounce bump, I believe. So it's a fair bit. I didn't grab just like a 4-ouncer. I guess I wanted to like really go to task. But I felt that this particular roving would benefit from the stuff I learned. Let's see here. Canada Cal until the end of August. Mom went home. In-laws are coming for a few days. Dyeing will resume at some point after the two of those things have occurred. There's still stuff in the shop, so feel free to go shop. I am still able to do all that stuff. I do not have time to dye while I'm entertaining guests. So I was hopeful to get some done today, but it is 2 o'clock. I still have to scrub out the stove. Long story, there was a pizza involved and my husband, which means that the stove needed to have a full-on cleaning. And there's still some errands we have to run. His parents get into town at 7. We're meeting up for a late supper. So I don't know. I don't know that I'll get any chance to dye anything today. However, I might be able to process some natural dyes to use tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but to use in the coming days, because I do have some stuff that needs to be cooked. You cook your natural dye prior to, and I have some yarns that I've mordanted, and I've got some new colors, some new natural colors that would look really nice, and yeah. So there's that. I may do that today, I don't know. It all depends. It's really hot. We don't have air conditioning. But yeah, there's still some stuff in the shop if you want to go purchase any of that. Dyeing resumes basically middle of next week. Yeah, I guess I'll see everyone next week. I apologize for the short amount of stuff, but life will get back to normal in a little bit. Happy knitting. Bye.